Please stand clear. The doors are closing. Please hold on.
To upgrade or not to upgrade? That is a question that many travelers face as it gets closer to departure date, but with many US airlines scaling back their premium services on domestic routes over the last few years, is it really worth the extra money? Normally I'd say no, but American Airlines made me an offer I couldn't refuse on tonight's roughly 5-hour flight to Las Vegas, so I packed my bags and headed to Terminal 8 at JFK for what I thought was gonna be a pretty mediocre flight. American Airlines, like a lot of other carriers, was hit hard by the global health crisis and slimmed down their onboard offerings in the name of passenger and crew safety. To be honest though, as these cutbacks dragged on, I thought the airlines did this more out of concern for their budgets rather than for any health reasons. That's why I was a little hesitant at first to book a first-class ticket for tonight's flight. I figured it wasn't worth it since I'd probably only be getting some cold sandwich and the service wouldn't be very good. But this flight was scheduled to depart after 9 o'clock at night, and American offered me an upgrade for only about $250, so I took the bait and switched to first. I mean, even with the reduced service, having a more comfortable seat would be nice on this flight. Considering I only originally paid $100 to sit in economy, the new combined cost of $350 really isn't that bad for a first-class flight all the way to Vegas. But as the 737-800 that I'd be on this evening was taxiing to the gate, I was a bit worried that it was probably outfitted with some outdated cabin. After a small delay at the gate though, I was just happy to be boarding. When I stepped on board, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that in fact this aircraft had one of American's newer first-class cabins, similar to the one I had on my flight aboard their 737 MAX last year. In total, there's 16 recliner-style seats in the first-class cabin, and I decided to sit in 4F tonight. I have to say, I'm really happy that I upgraded. These seats are nice and spacious, and much better than American's older first class that I've flown on before. There's plenty of room in the overhead bins, and a lot more neat amenities that I'll talk about later. As boarding continued, the flight attendants took pre-departure drink orders, and you could choose between juice, soft drinks, and alcohol. Eventually, the crew got everyone seated, and we got on our way.
4 hours, 57 minutes. Start off at 32,000 feet, and then we'll change various altitudes throughout the evening to turbulence reports. So, for starters, this evening our flight attendant is going to start off seated quite a while due to some turbulence reports, and as soon as we clear all that, then we'll reassess and see if we can start some service down the road. Alright, I think we got it all covered. As soon as you have all your belongings, everybody's seated, we'll be on our way, and welcome aboard.
As the captain mentioned, there was some bad weather headed our way, and that's what caused our initial delay. But as we headed to the runway, everything looked fine. And then when it seemed like we were about to take off, we just ended up taxiing down the runway and headed towards a holding area.
Just moving up and basically close to the departure route to the east and northeast. So right now they're working on the new routes for several aircrafts, us included. And as soon as we have something for you, I'll certainly let you know. Thank you.
Soon after that announcement, it started to rain and we got some thunder and lightning. We ended up sitting there for over an hour, which wasn't ideal, but it wasn't so bad for me in my comfy armchair. Have I mentioned that I'm really glad that I upgraded? Eventually, we were cleared for takeoff, and we started moving towards the runway. All these delays ended up tacking on about 2 hours onto our journey, but I was just glad the flight wasn't cancelled at this point. You probably couldn't tell, but that was a pretty bumpy takeoff. But now that we're safely up in the air, let's take a closer look around. These seats are basically the same as the premium economy seats that American uses on their wide bodies. They have adjustable headrests and a large armrest that has a little drink table. And there's this storage compartment that has a universal outlet inside. The tray table pops out from the other armrest, and it has this neat little phone or tablet holder on it. There's no seatback IFE system. Instead, American provides free streaming services to your personal device, and there's another phone or tablet holder on the back of your seat. You also have a storage pocket on the back of the seat, and there's individual air vents and reading lights. I was also happy to see that there's a proper divider between first and economy on this plane, unlike the premium section on their Maxes. Once we made it through the turbulence, the flight attendant handed out a hot towel, and a real hot towel too, not some sort of pre-packaged wet wipe. After that, they gave us some nuts and a complimentary drink of our choice. I love that they're handing out drinks in actual glasses again. Later, the flight attendants took our orders for dinner, and to my surprise they had 2 warm dishes available, chicken with mashed potatoes and pasta. I got the pasta, and it wasn't the best meal I ever had, but I really appreciate the presentation. Having my meal served on a nice tray with dishes and metal cutlery had a much more premium feel than what I was served on my last American domestic first class flight. And for dessert, they gave us some chocolate ice cream, which wasn't too frozen either. Once everything was cleared away, I paid a visit to the lavatory at the front of the cabin. When I got back from the bathroom, I enjoyed another drink, reclined my seat, and checked out what American had on offer through their streaming service. There was a nice selection of movies and TV shows available, and you could even watch live TV. And if that doesn't do it for you, you could always pay to use the Wi-Fi and browse the internet to your heart's content. Personally though, I've come to really appreciate having a seatback IFE monitor. I just think it's a lot more convenient, and several times throughout this flight, my phone was knocked off the device holder when the girl in front of me reclined her seat. After a couple hours of chilling out, the bright lights of Vegas came into view and the cabin lights were turned back on. The cabin crew came around and handed out some snacks, and we got ready for landing. I enjoyed this flight despite the delays, and aside from flying with JetBlue, this was the first domestic first-class trip that I've taken in a while that truly felt premium. I know that some of you are probably rolling your eyes right now, but with all the difficulties that American has faced lately, I thought it would be a very long time before we saw the return of amenities like hot towels and a proper meal service. The crew was great too. They greeted everyone by name and were very professional.
We'd like to welcome you to Las Vegas for the local time is 1:30 a.m. We ask that you please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened until we're parked at the gate. Our captain has turned the seatbelt sign off. For your patience during our weather delay, and we hope you have a great rest of your night.
So if American offers you a good upgrade deal next time you're checking in, it might be worth it to spend a few extra bucks. And that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.